Kevin Willard and the Maryland basketball team finally get a first loss in the program with him under the helm. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Slasher U. I'm your host, Christian Rao, here with my co-host, Steve Beck, and we're going to break down the win that Wisconsin gets over number 13th ranked Maryland, 64-59 final. This was a fantastic game until the very end. Steve, I have some thoughts about how this game ended. It was a little upsetting, honestly, on the Maryland side, but it's hard to hold it against that certain player because he was absolutely lights out through all of this. But I'm going to let you talk about it first. Your thoughts on this game, 64-59 final, Wisconsin getting the win, moving to 7-2, Maryland 8-1 now.
Yeah. So again, the New Jersey college basketball fanboy in me, because Willard came here from Seton Hall, maybe I tend to push, let's cover Maryland more, but they've been a great team. They've been a great story all year. But what really piqued my interest when we were trying to figure out what games we want to talk about today is that, Wisconsin's coming off a pretty nice win against Marquette. And what I find interesting about Wisconsin, they're basically their starting five has been pretty much, I think, the same in every game but one. So this is a team that is in sync, that is very comfortable playing with each other. They move the ball very, very well in this game. Actually, in most of the games, but especially in this game, they really distributed the ball well. They found their shot. They were patient. And I think that ties into the fact that Wisconsin is going with a consistent starting five from game one to the game here against Maryland. I can't. We were talking about a bunch of games here over the last couple of days, and I guess the main one we talked about today was Texas, losing, and it's not like it was a horrible game. Maryland didn't play a really bad game. Again, the end could have played out better for them. I agree. I'm going to leave that for you. I'm going to leave that layup for you. Okay, I'm going to dish that ball inside and let you lay that one up. But I mean, I don't think anybody expected Maryland to even be a one-loss team at this stage. So it's a learning experience. I mean, Wisconsin's not a powerhouse, but I think Wisconsin's going to be a solid team. I see them, and I can see them in NIT. Absolutely. I'm not sure unless they have a good run in the tournament, the conference tournament, that they get an NCAA bid. But I mean, overall, I thought it was a really great game. I mean, Chucky Hepburn, he only hit 2 threes, but they were both threes that put them ahead. Right. So again, Wisconsin just has that team dynamic that I think is going to serve them well as we inch deeper now into Big Ten play, since the Big Ten pretty much is probably, of all the conferences, I think that's the earliest start. Well, unless you looked at some of the smallest, I think Metro Atlantic Conference, there was a bunch of games at the end of November that were technically conference games. But I was really impressed. I think Wisconsin earned this win. I still love Maryland, as a whole. Yeah. But okay, let me dribble the ball. I'm dishing it inside. Serve up your layup here, because I mean, I know the point you're going to make. I have a feeling, and I think it's a good one.
Dante Scott is a fantastic basketball player. He is very good. What we saw in this whole game, I mean, if you look at the stat line, you're probably not going to get this point across, but if you watch the game, the blocks he made was impressive. The plays he made throughout the game when needed were very awesome throughout it. When they were down, when they had to get back to the tie towards the second half, or towards the end of the first half, I should say, and then all throughout this one. We saw Jameer Young make some really nice threes towards late in this game, and they were playing the foul game, getting back and forth. The last possession that Maryland had, they had an opportunity to shoot a three. Dante Scott did a pump fake. He loses the ball at the very end. They don't even get a chance to end this possession. So it was a little bit of a mishap on that one. And it's super frustrating. And the words that came out of my mouth, I was honestly in my living room alone watching this game, but the words came out of my mouth was, that's a crappy way that this one had to end, because this game was great through and through. And it was just like, it's like watching one of the newer versions of Planet of the Apes. You hated the ending, right? And it just wasn't a good It just wasn't a good ending for this game with Maryland getting that one. I'm interested to see what Scott can do and rebound. Now, if you look at his field goal percentage, it wasn't very good in this game.
No.
But when you watch what he actually did and what he performed on the court, it was fantastic play. And I give him a lot of credit for that. He obviously had 10 rebounds. He did good things. He had a lot of blocks in this game as well. I see 3 on the stat sheet, but I'm pretty sure he had 4. But that last possession, I hope he's thinking about it. I hope he's not thinking about his rebounds. I hope he's thinking about that last possession, because that's how they get better. And that's how we keep seeing Maryland in these top 25 conversations and in the top of the conversation for the Big Ten Conference, Steve.
Absolutely. And that was a great point. I mean, basically, and one. You got your layup and one. Okay. Nice. So you're going to the line for that 3-point play. The great thing about Scott, I mean, I'm sure after the game, after he gets showered and then goes back to his room or whatever, he was probably saying, "Oh man, yeah, but I wish I had this one back," or "Man, I can't believe I was 3 for 14." But it didn't really stop him from taking shots. And I wouldn't say that he was, and like you said, everything looked like it was going to work. It was very natural. They just weren't falling. The shots weren't falling, but it did not change the way he approached attacking, offensively. So for me, again, players are going to have nights like this. I write this off as just one of those nights. But the fact that he had such an off night, yet had such an important impact on the game itself, that speaks, volumes to exactly how valuable he is to this Terrapin side.
This was his best night of the season defensively and his worst night offensively. I feel like I can say that with confidence, and I'm sure he thinks that too. I'm pretty sure that probably adds up when you look at the stat sheet of the games they played so far this year. But I'm sure that he thinks that as well. Great job on the defensive side. Find a way to fire on all cylinders. And man, you are going to be something. You're not just going to be just a starting guy on the Maryland squad. You're going to be a guy that we're talking about here when we come to all Big Ten kind of conversations at the end of the year. Because I really do think that you have the opportunity to do so, based off what I've seen so far this season from the multiple games I've had the pleasure to watch at Maryland, because they have been a team that has been very fun to watch so far. Even because they've lost just one game doesn't mean that I'm going away. I'm still going to pay attention to these Maryland games. I do think that they are still a team that deserves a lot of credit, and it's going to be tough to beat. And I'm looking forward to that game coming up on Sunday. We get to see them in the Hall of Fame Invitational at the Barclays Center, 4:30 Eastern against Tennessee. Maryland versus Tennessee should be fantastic. Both currently one-loss teams. And then Maryland plays number 19 UCLA also next week. They got 2 tough games coming up. And the next week, we see them playing a top 10 team in Tennessee and a top 20 team in UCLA. So if they are for real, if we just saw them being undefeated until this game against Wisconsin, if we can see them get back on pace and see them get to a 10-1 finish going into Christmas, count me in. I'm all in on this Maryland team. But I really want to see what they got against Tennessee and UCLA, Steve.
Yeah, and I'm glad you also mentioned the fact that he was so good defensively, because
amazing.
I guarantee you the first thing that Kevin Willard would have said to him, like in private or whatever it is, saying, way to rebound, way to not to let your bad shooting night affect your defensive play, because that's what Kevin Willard wants from his players. I mean, there are some really uber talented players on this.
Maryland you need solid defensive play in the Big Ten.
Yes.
I mean, I would argue that you need more defense than you need offense in the Big Ten. I mean, however, obviously there needs to be a healthy balance, but if you had to lean one more weight than the other, I would definitely lean towards that defensive efficiency.
Yeah. I mean, look what Illinois did to Texas.
Right.
I mean, Texas by no means looked like, the number 3 team in the country or wherever they were. They're number 3 now, if I'm not mistaken, right?
They're 2.
They're 2. Okay. So again, I mean, they didn't look like the number 2 team in the country, but that's a testament to Illinois, not to something that Texas, played a horrible game. It's same thing here with Maryland. I mean, basically they did everything that they do well. They just didn't have shots at key moments fall. And Wisconsin just move the ball efficiently. It was like a symphony watching them just basically setting up their shots. So a great basketball game, and I think we can look forward to a lot more great basketball on both of these sides.
Let us know your thoughts in the comment description below. Hit like and subscribe while you're there. And thanks for watching SlasherU.